This is the Note Closer Show, where you get the latest developments in distressed note investing and learn the secrets of how you can control millions of dollars worth of property for pennies on the dollar. Get educated and entertained by someone who has closed thousands of deals and lives to support you in achieving the same. Now, here's your host, CEO of We Close Notes, Scott Carson.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Note Closer Show. As always, Scott Carson, excited to be here with you today. And I am extremely jacked up because we've got two amazing people on the podcast today that have you guys, our listeners, and Note Nation's best interest in mind when it comes to your deal flow, when it comes to sharing what's going on, to communicating, to be able to raise capital and really network in your deals. Because I see that's one of the biggest things. People get so excited about buying a deal and closing a deal, but they're like, okay, what do I do now? After I fund a deal, how do I communicate? How do I continue to market? And our two guests are going to share some great ways to turn your investors into your biggest cheerleaders, your biggest raving fans on what you're doing, your investments, and helping you grow your future tree of investors. So we're honored to have two amazing rock stars. One's joining us from New York. The other one's joining us from Tennessee this morning. Is right, Tennessee, right, Dylan, right?
That's right. That's right.
And Katerina, you're in New York. You said exactly New York, New City, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Cool. Well, we're honored to have you guys. I'm excited about what you've got going on, what you guys are doing. And so I'm just going to shut up. So why don't we do it with the ladies first? Katerina, would you introduce yourself? Talk a little about yourself, and then we'll bump the mic to Dylan there.
Absolutely. Well, Scott, thanks so much. Pleasure to be here. We are very excited to be on your show and talk about what the project of our passion. So to share that with your listeners, and just to kick started from my background, Katerina Stepanova, my last name you could guess, not American, transplant from Moscow, Russia. Immigrated to United States 13 years ago. My background is in advertising and marketing. So I started off my career at in advertising and grew to be a customer service director at one of the largest advertising agencies. Through, I guess, my passion to working with clients and growing my relationship and helping them grow their connection with their customers through consistent communication. And I guess that just naturally was applicable to me in my real estate career as well, which I started when I immigrated and started with owning single family, managing that, and then wanted to grow some more and turn my gaze towards mobile home park investing. So I am a mobile home park owner and operator along with my partners, and our parks, our mobile home communities are nationwide in Florida, Alabama, Michigan. So we spread around. And one of the things that I brought with me, and I strongly believe in, this is what Dylan and I found in common and started building upon, was a strong belief that farming versus hunting approach to doing business is the way to go. Growing your existing relationship will lead you eventually towards more prosperous business. If it's inevitable. So we decided to build our business with fundamentals in mind, with fundamentals and just having our, I guess, passion for the business.
Awesome. Good stuff there. And Dylan, tell us a little about you and how you got started as an investor.
All right. Well, I'll try to keep the passion going from me, Katerina. She always sets a good tone. But as far as my investing experience goes, I started off 5 years back. Again, one thing we share is that, well, we have vastly different histories and pasts. And I was born in upstate New York, but I was a college dropout about 6 years back, and I left school with the passion and burning desire to go out there and get into entrepreneurship, and quickly that shifted to getting into real estate. So I started off again with single family homes, and that quickly transformed into multifamily. And since then I've grown, and I've worked on about 50 million in total multifamily assets by this point, and I've done large syndications, worked with over 100 active investors. So I've been experienced in the field, and Katerina and I have known each other through industry events, right? We're on PodMax today, and we really believe in this networking and the power of these kind of events. So we met each other at events where she was growing with her partners in the JV business, and I was growing in the multifamily syndication space. And then one day she reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'm working on this project. I'm basically building a technology where I can report my investment returns to my investors and find a new way of being able to present new deals." And as soon as I saw that, I said, "Wow, well, this, I've been using something that was a little similar to this, but I've been spending over $15,000 a year for this tool, and it's still not doing everything I wanted to." So I was spending an arm and a leg for that. I knew that newer investors didn't have the option to even be able to access something like this. So when I saw that, I saw a great way for us to be able to work together and continue to build the tool out to be able to be accessible for both small scale operators doing JVs as well as large scale. And that's when we founded Equity Tree, right? And Equity Tree is basically a platform that's there to help almost act like an incubator for up and coming real estate investors that want to work with investment contexts. And I would say, maybe one day we will be branching out and having a debt tree as well for all the note buyers out there.
Yeah, that's good stuff there. I love that you guys come from different backgrounds, and that says, you guys have different things that you're looking for when you're evaluating deals, when you're marketing deals, when you're following up and raising stuff. But I love Katerina's analogy about being a farmer versus a hunter. Hunter-gatherer, it's faster famine, whereas the farmers, it's always you always got enough for the most part on your plate when it comes to raising capital. So let's talk a little about this. What are some of the initial things when you guys are brainstorming there and building Equity Tree? What were some of the biggest factors that you wanted to have on the platform to offer up to investors out there? Katerina, let's start first with you on that.
Sure, absolutely. Well, Scott, when I started looking at the tools that my partners and I were using, I thought that it's great that we're using technology, and I love using technology, whatever I can do to optimize my business, being so busy, I would use and check it out for sure. So I thought, how about we do some things that are, I was looking at deal process. For example, when we start off in the deal, we all have our strategy, our plans, our budget for the deal, and then as the time goes, sometimes I notice that we could sometimes not look at the KPIs we promised to, let's say, our investors or for a quarter or two. And then, I don't want to be waiting until end of the year to see like whether we're on track or off track or what we needed to shift or just. So from that perspective, I thought that would be great to one of the features in our current platform was very important to me. I thought, how about we put our budget into the portal? So for each deal, we have very clear map of what we were planning on doing, our projections, and then we put our actuals right next to it. So each and every month we can compare whether we're on track or off track. And that was also important for me to show our investors and my partners that we keep track of these things, that nothing is too small for us, and we make sure we do our absolutely best in executing the deal exactly as we promised them we would. So I guess the fundamental thought behind it was you do what you said you're going to do, and be upfront and be transparent. And this is one of our one of the lines in our mission is like we want to bring absolute transparency and showcase the pride of real estate business ownership to our partners, investors, and that was the thought behind it.
Makes
That's
sense.
how it.
Dylan, what about yourself?
Well, yeah, echoing on that, I think there's a lot of speculation that goes into what sponsors should I invest with right now. And it's a lot of hearsay, right? Of just the people that sound good on the podcast or on YouTube, right? But as Katerina mentioned, we had to take a page out of, I'm a big Ray Dalio fan, had to take a page out of his book and get into the radical transparency and how do we roll that out in our own business and have that better the investing world. So we're really on a mission to be able to encourage everyone to be radically transparent with your existing deals, be able to share the facts and figures. One of the beautiful parts, and for some people, the scary part of finance is that it is black or white, right? It's either you hit the mark or you didn't, right? And we're not saying you have to be perfect and always hit your mark, right? That's just not going to be the case, but it's showing that when you don't hit the mark, you're being able to analyze and share with people why you believe you didn't hit the mark and what are you doing to be more proactive to be able to make sure you're hitting the mark next time. So that is definitely something we feel very passionate about and we put a lot of emphasis upon. But beyond that, I think when you look at this tool, we've priced it, we've made it in a level that anyone can use. It's simple and easy to use. And it's really about creating the wizard, not the wand, so to speak, right? So it's about being able to build people up to be the right ones to use the tool. Because if you don't have the skill sets on how to actually market and attract investors to this, or how to actually evaluate the deal and how to actually share that with investors properly, or what to actually, what your 60 days up until close, if you're doing a commercial transaction, a lot of times 60-day close, what do you do during those 60 days? What is the outline of that? What is the structure of that? And then beyond that, how do you track and measure and share the ongoing progress? So more than anything, it's instilling the know-how and the skill sets to be able to operate the tool effectively. And that's really where we focus on, is how do we pour back into the people.
What would you say is one of the things that allows your equity tree to stand out from some of the other softwares that are out there, Dylan?
It falls back completely on the hand-holding that we bring along the way. It falls back on the weekly training calls, the collaboration that we have with the community, and then we have ongoing, monthly calls with experts in the space to be able to make sure that you're becoming better at building out your investor base. You're becoming more prepared to be able to present deals when that time comes. When you are in that, I've had over a dozen calls with people that are at that SOS moment where they say, oh my God, I got this deal under contract. I have to go raise money. What do I do now, right? And they don't know, what do I set my minimum investment to? How does the waterfall thing work? How do I present this deal to investors? And that's a scary place to be. And we want to help avoid anyone from being in that position. And when they are in that position, we're available to be able to help guide them and help them through that. So it's not just sending a message into a support email and getting more of a technical response on how to use the software, but it's actually being able to get ongoing help in terms of how to help you structure your deals and maximize your process.
I love that. Katerina, how would you guys, how's the software set up to handle different asset classes? So you guys come from similar, but a little bit different thing, mobile home parks, single family stuff. For those investors out there looking at stuff, how easy is it for somebody to upload and distribute the information on a single family asset versus, say, a multifamily or mobile home park? Because we all know it's a little bit different type of reporting and uploading and due diligence aspects of things, right?
Yeah, well, a reporting tool is very simple to use. That is, I guess it's a communication tool, and that is set up the way you need the KPIs are there, so you can edit KPIs, whatever you need to show, and based on your initial conversations with your investors. If you are, what I like to emphasize on, when you are even a single family investor, or you are setting up a partnership and you purchasing maybe a smaller property, smaller asset, you can still use it. That is what I wanted to bring home. We took the intimidation out of this big and scary deals, because to me personally, when I was transitioning from being a single family rental investor, transitioning into commercial, that was very intimidating.
Right.
This is one, it is well, when you talk about Dylan was mentioned in syndication, and when you have a deal and you don't know how to do it, this is the very scary place to be.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why I ended up in mobile home park space was exactly why, because I thought, okay, let me look at the industry and who operates in the industry. So when I looked at the mobile home park operators, I noticed that many of them are park owners and operators for generations. So they've been growing in that space for decades. They've been patient, and they've been just operating on fundamentals. And I thought, you know what, I could see myself doing that. So that is how I got started. So the idea behind the reporting and using the tool is that it is so simple, and it has at the same time all the functionality you need to track your deal, to make sure it's exactly how you want it to be, and make sure that you can communicate and with your investors, with your partners, however often you like. And there is, again, this complete transparency, so which translates anywhere in the business. So you can use it for any type of investment.
Makes sense. Now, Dylan, how effective is the tool? How effective is equity trading? It's probably pretty effective, imagine that, of being able, if you've got, well, let's just say single family property, you got one investor on there that you're sharing stuff with. Whereas, say it's a syndicated where you may have 50 to 100 investors on that. Is it pretty easy for people to be able to share that kind of transparencies? People can log in on an easy basis or notified when things are being changed on the platform?
Absolutely, yeah. They'll get email updates whenever a new deal hits the platform, and that's always really important, right? Because we want to be able to quickly share that out, and we're going to be able to help provide templates on how to go out there and announce the deal, right? The deal announcement's the first thing when you put a new deal under contract. So we have that built in, and then it's completely transferable in terms of being able to customize any of your expense line items versus your income line items based on what it is, to the point where I joke about the debt tree thing, but you really could go and raise capital. If you had a large note and you wanted to share that with a few investors, you could easily post that in there and show the projected returns, right? And just break down the expenses or break down the projections based upon how the asset class works.
That makes sense there, Corey. And let's talk, I'm sure, what everybody else is thinking about. You're talking about $1,500 a month for different pricing. What are we talking about as far as the monthly investment for a tool that's going to work like this?
So what we're offering to our investors, love the sound, but when we're offering to our investors is that we have, it's a $997 investment for grandfathered in. It's an annualized investment for life. So instead of the pricing going up every year, like for me, it was $15,000 this year, and I was just scared to hear the number next year. What we're offering to what we call our early adopters, for the first 100 people that are on the platform, we're going to have an early adopter price of $1,000, grandfathered in for life. That's unlimited offerings. No matter how many deals you do, no matter how big you grow, we're not going to be able to, we're not coming back for more. So this is really something that we plan to work on with you. So as you're working on new asset classes, if you're working on different areas of your business that we don't currently host or have in there, we're growing with you, right? We expect everyone that is an early adopter to be a partner with us and help us share in the vision. We're not just there to listen to your feedback and not put it into effect. You know, we're working with our development partners to grow the business as best we can and make it the best fit tool for anyone that's a part of the platform.
So you're saying for just $10, $997, or are we talking $997?
Oh, 997.
There we go. Let's make sure.
Yeah. Yes.
Some people are like, wow, $9. We want to make sure to get that out there. But that's still $997 when you think about an annualized basis. That's what, $80 a month to be able to, roughly or less than $100 a month to get the word out on what you're doing, to be able to have the features in place to communicate with your database, as you said, to get the word out, raise the capital, but then also be able to say, okay, here you go, guys. Here's what's everything's going on in the back end.
Yeah, when you experience the benefits of having a tool like this, the first time you do a capital raise, you'll realize it's well worth it every day of the week. Just purely for that function alone, being able to manage the incoming subscription agreements, being able to manage who's placed off commitments, who's watched the webinar and hasn't invested yet, being able to go through and organize all the documents in one place. I know for myself, It saved me countless hours during the busiest time periods of my business. So that's really where people are going to realize the value and probably not want to go another direction. I think platforms like this will become the industry standard, to where it's almost something that becomes more of a need than a want if you're going out there and raising investor capital.
Yeah, that's a good point. And Katerina, maybe you could answer this question here for me on that stuff. How long has it taken you guys to put this together? I mean, are we talking years? Are we talking, hey, you really been 90 days? You know, what have you found as far as that the deal flow, as far as putting this thing together?
Well, Scott, I started working on this and on this tool probably about a year ago, and I started using it for my business as a reporting tool and deal tracking tool, just ongoing operation, just to make sure that, again, my assets, properties are on track. And then the added feature of reporting to partners and investors came into play. So that's been about a year. And the past few months we've been working with Dylan, just fine-tuning the investor relations component of it. And I think that is a really robust tool at this point. And I like how Dylan emphasized, and I want to just reiterate, those folks who feel that our message resonates with them, this is exactly the point of us being today on your podcast. We are looking for folks who would think like we think. They would say, yes, I am so proud of my business and what I'm doing with my investors. I would love to have this. I would love to use this because this is a way of thinking rather than, oh, it's just a tool I use like anyone else or every other tool, simply because that is, I guess, a way of thinking. There is no other way of saying this. And folks who are using it, we would very much encourage their feedback, because we would love to build it out so every real estate investor could take advantage of it and feel like they are fully owning it. This is their tool. This is not something that is out there and looking very intimidating. This is their workspace.
Cool. Dylan, with people looking to raise capital, and you mentioned something about, hey, getting the deal out, stuff like that. What are some of the things that from some of your existing clients you've seen some success come from? Are they taking their traditional email database and uploading it into Equity Tree? What are some of the things that they're doing to help them in the raising the capital, or when they got a deal they need funding on that you're seeing working with your tool?
Mm-hmm. So we've broken down the capital raise into a 5-step process, right? We walk through it. We have your pre-deal process, which is really where all the work goes in. Before the deal even comes up, it's building that investor base. Then phase 2 is your deal marketing process. It's those first 30 days, usually when you're getting your legal documents prepped in the background, getting ready for investors to actually be able to fund the deal. You're sitting there setting out your announcement, you're sending out your pitch deck, you're going to be communicating with them through that. Then you have your fundraising process, which is actually when your docs are ready, they're signing the docs, they're wiring the funds, and you want to get those in quickly before the close. And then we go into post-close, phase 4, and then phase 5 being the ongoing asset management, right? So as far as the areas that I feel we would help the most in, the pre-deal, we're helping primarily through helping them go out there and find ways to market their business and have a place on their website that they can go and actually have investors log in to create this account. But really where we really start to play a large effect is that now that investors are having an account created, now it's time to go out there and actually start to market the deal. And you'll have basically a website set up, a page specifically for that deal itself, where they can go through and download all the docs that are associated with the deal, make soft commitments, which are the kind of non-binding commitments early on in the deal process. And then from there, they can also go in to make their hard commitments, turning into investments as that process goes. So it's really more than anything, solving the problem of just having endless amounts of email chains and Dropbox folders going on with all your investors and trying to organize that whole thing. It's just putting it into one place where they can go, and it just gives you a lot of peace of mind having that.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. Dropbox, Basecamp, Slack, Boxbee accounts, all that stuff kind of comes together, and then having
Right.
Your Infusionsoft or your MailChimp or Aweber stuff out there definitely now. Dylan, you mentioned before, I mean, those 5 points, 5 steps are really great. So you guys have put together something kind of cool. It's a cool tool to help out everybody out there, correct?
Mm-hmm. I would say so. Yeah.
I mean, you were saying it's you got like a 15 point.
Oh, yes. So as far as the 5 steps go, we absolutely have a tool that walks everyone through that. We've put together a 15-page packet, which we call the 5-step ultimate fundraising guide, which is there to walk you through the 5 steps in detail as far as how you can go through that step by step on the pre-deal, deal marketing, fundraising, post-close, and asset management takeover, and actually show you when you put a deal under contract, what do you do day 1, what takes place day 3, what takes place day 15, what takes place day 25 to day 30, and so on, right? So we've literally taken the entire blueprint that we've done over working with 100 active investors, and we've been able to dial in what the best process is to be most effective with your capital raising process, and then how to go out there and execute after you take over the property. What are the things that need to take place? I like to emphasize the 90-day plan, right? The 90-day plan is what starts day 1, and when you close, that's a momentum setter. You want to set momentum, you want to set the pace, you want to have crystal clear, actionable items on what's going on the property management side that you're holding them accountable to. What kind of value add are you going to go out there and start to implement to show the residents that you're going to take over and make a difference, right? So those are the things we've outlined in that. And if any listeners want to have that, they can go and download it. It's going to be on our website, equitytree.io/Scott. And you can download the 5-step ultimate fundraising guide. And in addition to that, we're happy to jump on a strategy session with anyone on the call that wants more help refining their own fundraising processes or their processes on a 90-day plan. So we'd love to jump on a call and get to know you guys.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. A great checklist. Equitytree.io/Scott is the link. Again, we'll have that in the show notes for everybody out there. And then I think equitytree.io is the best place to go to get signed up to start opting into the EquityTree platform too, right, Katerina?
Yes, that's right, Scott. Yeah, absolutely. Folks can find us there. They can find all the resources that we're putting out because, as we were mentioning, fundamentals and business building tools, we believe that this is all part of the experience. So we want to make sure that we're not just providing some technology, but the reasoning behind it and the philosophy behind it. And there is nothing new that we just invented. This is all that we've all been hearing and reading all along. We just wanted to make sure that our technology supports those fundamentals and keeps folks and keeps ourselves right now on the right track. So we get reminded of those things as we go ahead and we build our business.
Dylan, would you say that EquityTree would be a good replacement or substitute for Podio or Pipedrive for a lot of investors that are using those tools?
Yes, absolutely. I would say if you're managing your investors using any existing type of a CRM, this is a tool that can help you replace that. This is much more customized for that specifically. As of right now, we don't manage the acquisition process as much on looking at new deals, but we're everything beyond that in terms of managing your investors that are coming in the door. And then the day you have that deal under contract or even just before that, that's when you start to link it over to our system.
Awesome. Good stuff there, guys. Any best way for our listeners to reach out to you, either of you? What's the best way? Just the website for the most part, or where?
Just go to this site. We're going to have all of our contact there, /Scott. You'll be able to get all of our social media. You'll be able to get the strategy session there, and we'll love to connect, and we're here to help anyone that's listening.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for both coming on the Note Close Show and sharing. Looking forward to that stuff. And you guys here in Note Nation all across the country, you heard it here. Go to equitytree.io/Scott to get your 5-point 15-page download there, as they were talking about, and then also to book a special time with either of these two guys and gal. Sorry, I mean to put Katerina there as a guy, so your gal out there to book it and see if this is a software that'll work well for your business. I'm sure it will. So many of us investors out there, especially starting off with, who are struggling with what kind of systems to use, what kind of communication, how are we marketing. And if you can put all that in one spot for you, where you're not having to manage multiple things, it's a whole lot easier, not just for you, but also for your team to do some things. So go out, take some action, check it out, guys. And we'll see you all at the top, everybody. Bye.
Thanks.
Thanks so much, Scott.